Quaker Oats has finally decided to retire its iconic Aunt Jemima brand for syrup and pancake mix. I'm going to talk about that over the next 5 minutes. I'm Angela Langlotz, trademark and copyright attorney, and I go live here on weekdays to talk about trademark and copyright law. Today, Quaker Oats announced that it was going to retire its iconic Aunt Jemima brand for pancake syrup and pancake mix because of its offensive, and let's be frank, offensive and frankly racist nature, and I applaud this. The Supreme Court says that offensive brands are registrable, and they've given us more guidance on this lately. And I think it's now appropriate for brands like this to be retired because in my view, and no one has to agree with me, in my view, these brands are a little bit demeaning, more than a little bit demeaning. Why mince words? They're demeaning. And they paint a racist stereotype of Black women that I feel is offensive. But let's look at the actual trademarks that Quaker Oats has for the Aunt Jemima brand. I think you'll find it interesting to see the evolution of the brand over time, and the elimination of it now is appropriate for where we are in our culture as more enlightened and sensitive people. So let's go to the trademark database and have a look. Okay, so you can see here from the record that there are 6 live marks for Aunt Jemima. This one has just been applied for, and then they have others that are going all the way back to 1906. This is a very old brand. So let's look at the 1906 trademark. And you can see, whoops, that's not what I intended to show you. It's a word mark. Let's have a look. Here we go. So it's a word mark with this design here, okay? And you can see that Aunt Jemima has this kerchief on it. And the whole Aunt Jemima mark was sort of based off of this racist, let's be frank, racist trope about the fat Black mammy. And you can see that reflected in the brand images over time. If you look at this one, this is a very old image, you know, of Aunt Jemima with the pancakes. This one right here is a more contemporary image that shows a more dignified looking Black woman with a regular hairdo, not covered by a kerchief, and that's reflective of our changing racial sensibilities over time. So I want to go back to the trademark database and show you. So this is the one. Look, when this was registered, it was filed in 1905 and registered in 1906. So this is, let me page down here so you can see it. So you can see it was registered in 1906. This is a very old and venerable mark that has just really outlived its appropriateness for our times. Let's go back though and look at the first one that's just filed. Let me go to the current list here. So if you look at this one hasn't been registered yet. It was filed based on an intent to use. How can we tell? Because it says 1B. That means it was filed based on the intent to use the mark. And you can see that the image is really different. It's the more modern looking Aunt Jemima, still sort of racially inappropriate because the Aunt Jemima name has had the connotation for so long of the fat Black mammy that every time we hear the name Aunt Jemima, because the words are so powerful, because the literary part of the mark, the literal part of the mark is so powerful that, let me switch myself back here, that whenever we hear Aunt Jemima, the only thing that sticks in our minds is the fat Black mammy. That is the power of a brand, and I think that's why it's so offensive to people. It's not because it's portraying a Black woman, it's because in the past, the brand history was this portrayal of a fat Black mammy that, you know, is frankly offensive to modern sensibilities. We don't like this. So Quaker Oats has wisely decided that it is high time that the brand be retired, and I applaud this because I don't think it's not nice, okay? I mean, it's not a nice thing to portray these sort of racist stereotypes or sexist stereotypes. It doesn't make people feel good. It doesn't draw people toward your product, and it makes them feel icky. So when you're branding, you have to be mindful of not just your brand and the strength of your brand. You have to be mindful about how it makes people feel. How do people feel about interacting with your brand? Those sorts of things are very important, and they're things that companies need to pay attention to, and they're things that need to change over time. So I applaud Quaker Oats for deciding to come into the 21st century and, not have these sorts of racist brands out there. Like I said, not everyone's going to agree with me, and that's okay. That's just my opinion. And I wanted to use this as a case study because I think it's interesting to see how brands evolve over time and even go away when it's no longer appropriate for them to be part of our cultural lexicon, as it will. So I'm Angela Langlotz. I go live here on weekdays to talk about trademarks and copyrights. I don't normally talk about political issues, but this was timely, and so I thought I would comment upon it. I'm probably going to get hate from both sides about this one, but that's okay. You can find me online at TrademarkDoctor.net. You can message me with any trademark questions at Facebook.com/TrademarkDoctor, and I will answer those on a future live. I have a huge library of videos on YouTube. Just go to YouTube and search Trademark Doctor. You'll find them there. I'll see you later.